Hi there. In this video, I'll be going through how to begin a trial of the licensed components for the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare that are built on the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 apps. I'll do that by going through three main components. One is we'll actually deploy the trial live on camera, so that'll be happening real time for you to follow along. Next, we'll review the environment a little bit, see what you get as part of that deployment. And then we'll see a couple of different ways you can use it, and I'll talk through a couple of additional things that you can do. So I've started out, I'm logged into Office 365 with my account, and I'm going to go ahead and open up a fresh tab and pull open the Microsoft Solutions Center at solutions.microsoft.com. Now, this is a portal where all of the Microsoft industry clouds and the components for them can be deployed from a single pane of glass. And you don't have to figure out how to go and source anything from different places. This is kind of your one-stop home for where to get the cloud for any industry cloud component that's part of it. In this video, we'll be focusing in on the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare. That's where I've worked the most with customers as part of this. So I'll go ahead and move into the Cloud for Healthcare section, where it brings us to the various capability areas that are available in the Cloud for Healthcare. Each of these have details behind them about the specific solutions and services and detail that sit behind those. So you can find that for any of them kind of in a quick view and understand what each of them are about. And then, of course, additionally with these, you can get to kind of the full detail about them by going through to the detail page where you can choose specific components within that area that you may want to add. Now note, some of these, like Azure Health Data Services, are not part of the licensed components. They are part of an Azure subscription that's done on a consumption basis. So you'll see some of these things, even the data management has an example here of requiring some licensing to make that work. Not everything in the Cloud for Healthcare requires licensing. And in fact, the licensing largely is for building on top of Power Platform and Dynamics 365, as well as some of the EMR integrations, so launching a virtual visit from an EMR. But there are a variety of different things in the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare that don't actually require you to have any kind of licensing. But if you want to be able to try out some of these things that do require licensing, this new trial feature is a great way to be able to get around this needing of licenses, whether that's the Cloud for Healthcare license itself or something like the field service license. So up in the top bar here, we've got the Try Now link, which brings us to a page that allows us to start a free 30-day trial of the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare. By starting this, and I'll go ahead and start it now, what it does is it will provision a full self-contained Power Platform environment with the underlying applications of the Power Platform, the Dynamics 365 apps that are built upon in using some of these Cloud for Healthcare components, and the actual solutions that are available as part of the licensed components of the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare. Long story short, when I've worked with customers in the past of trying to do a trial deployment of some kind, it's taken a lot of work because they have to get trials for multiple licenses to just even evaluate if it's something that they're interested in. And I'm really excited in working with customers at this point that I don't have to do that same, or put them through that same kind of work if they want to try to evaluate some of these licensed components. Rather, we can just use a simple single-click deployment of those things. Looks like we've got it pulling up here. One last thing I'll say before I dig into this is that you can certainly as part of deploying this, use it in combination with things like Azure Health Data Services to be able to evaluate what it is that you want to do. So this trial can be used with those data services or with text analytics for health or other components that you might deploy on your own. It is fully available for you to be able to work on. Hope that makes sense. So what do we have as we get to the page here? So it's kind of a welcome experience that we begin with, and we can see some of these different single click to get into the trial environment experiences that have just been provisioned. So I can do identify the specific area that I want to work with, whether that be something like care management or the patient service center, as well as see information about some of those things that aren't necessarily a licensed component and require deployment elsewhere. Azure HealthBot or our MedTech service are things that are available. I could work with those in combination with this trial, but they're not part of the pre-provisioned components because they are more consumption based for those things. So let's go ahead and pop into one of these in particular. I'll use care management as an example. I have found, I've done this a few times now, that the kind of loading screen for this in the first run takes a while to get there. So I'll just kind of let that do its thing. We can progress on and talk about a couple of other things while that goes ahead and loads. And one of those will specifically be about kind of playing with others in working with this. And what we can do is we can go to the Power Platform Admin Center, which is where we can see this environment that we've created, as well as add other users or teams that we want to collaborate with in this trial. So aka.ms/ppac is the place that I went to. And this is the admin center where I can see the environments that have been provisioned in my organization. I can also see that the Cloud for Healthcare trial has been deployed and see the 30 days that are remaining for the Cloud for Healthcare trial environment. Now in here, a couple of key areas. There's an access teams and users link that you can use to be able to add people into your trial environment. So if we pick users, we can go ahead and use the add user command at the top, choose people who are part of your tenant and assign to them as part of that kind of wizard-like experience security roles for them. Couple of things, for this, security roles can be a more advanced topic. You can cut through some of the potential complexity there by selecting kind of all of the healthcare security roles for that, as well as all of the Dynamics 365 roles. That way, as you're evaluating, you don't have to figure out which privileges and permissions you need for any of those scenarios, unless the thing you're trying to try out is like, what do the different security privilege levels look like in the Cloud for Healthcare? Then obviously, yeah, you're going to be a little bit more selective in what you add in for those other users. But just something so you don't get to that screen and immediately freeze and say, I don't know what security roles to add. Pick the healthcare and Dynamics 365 ones. So back to the screen that was loading in the background, we can see it's the care management application. And we can click into some specific guided tours here that are available, or we can just go directly to one of the areas of the application using the navigation on the left. There is sample data that's deployed as part of the standard deployment here as well, so you don't have to come up with your own data to be able to bring in as part of your first run experience here. You've just got some data already pre-populated. You can go in, review a patient record, see the profile for them, and start working with the care management components specifically. So a couple of other thoughts on things that you can do to be able to get started with the Cloud for Healthcare is One, certainly you can start to use those applications through the first run experience that I was just showing there. Another thing that you can do is you can work with the Dataverse Healthcare APIs. I'll go ahead and link that in a video that I've done recently below, so you can see if you're working with healthcare data, both putting it into or bringing it out of one of these environments, what that experience is like if you're more on the technical side of things. But certainly those first run experiences are going to be, and kind of the getting started previews are going to be a great way if you're not familiar with any of the applications, kind of where to go, what to do, those sorts of things. Couple of final thoughts on this. One, it's great for being able to use this. It does have everything you need for 30 days. As part of working with that, you can extend it for another 30. And then one other tip that I'll go ahead and show here is that if you go to make.powerapps.com, which is the Power Apps Maker portal, you'll be able to see this environment here. So if you want to do some sort of configuration or identify something, a little tweak that you might want to make in your organization, or you just want to do something in one of the underlying Dynamics 365 apps like a marketing or a customer service or a field service, what have you, those are all available to you in the Power Platform Admin Center. As they would be if you had gone and provisioned each of these things and deployed each of these apps kind of bespoke into your own environment. So, again, the trial is a great way to be able to quickly get all of these things and just be able to start getting your hands on with it and doing the type of evaluation that you would like to. So with that, just wanted to thank you again for your time. Hope you appreciated the video and have a great day.